ॐ ज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतपरिजनसहितं कृष्ण चैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधो दीनबंधो जगत्पते गोपेशा गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिन् इति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। तौ संतोषयता सन्तौ श्रीलरूप सनातनौ दाक्षिणात्येन भट्टेन पुनरेतद्विविच्यते। तस्याद्यं ग्रन्थनालेखं क्रान्तव्युत्क्रान्तखण्डितम् पर्यालोच्याथ पर्यायं कृत्वा लिखति जीवकः। Okay. Hare Krishna. I welcome all of you. So today's bhakti sandarbha session. So okay. So we'll continue our discussion from last class. So last class we were discussing about the relation with the Ananya Bhakti, and we understood what we understood from that discussion. Shravanam, Kirtanam, so and so. This Sakshat Bhakti is the essence of all the scriptures. This was the discussion, if all of you remember. So in that, so for proving this, that means Shravanam Kirtanam, that means Ananya Bhakti, or otherwise Sakshat Bhakti, or otherwise Suddha Bhakti, or otherwise Ananya Bhakti, or otherwise Akinchana Bhakti, or otherwise Kevala Bhakti. So this Bhakti is the essence of all the scriptures. So for this, Jiva Goswami is establishing this point. So how he is establishing? So anyone remember about how they established? How is Srila Goswami? Yes, Sachdev Kapoor. Yes. You can unmute yourself, Prabhu.
Yeah, Hare Krishna.
Yeah.
Yeah. Prabhuji, Jiva Goswami is establishing this by quoting the debate which had followed between Prahlad Maharaj and his father Hiranyakashipu. And that has been given in that those verses, in those verses which you had explained yesterday.
Yes.
And according to those verses, this fact was established by you. Right, Jiva Goswami.
Yes. Yes. Thank you. So Srila Jiva Goswami is taking the section, the debate between Prahlad Maharaj and his father. So what Prahlad Maharaj is saying in these two slokas? Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu Smaranam Padasevanam. So for your information, I am discussing 169th Anuscheda. Maybe if anyone is missing in the last class, so please, so you can focus on 169th Anuscheda. Okay? In this Anuscheda, so Srila Jiva Goswami, so Prahlad Maharaj is saying, the person who reached the pinnacle of the studies, so what he does, he will be doing, so Sakshat Bhakti, that is Shravanam Kirtanam. And for whose sake? He is saying for the sake of, so Lord only. And he is not doing this Sakshat Bhakti out of any material desires. That means not because of Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. That means for Dharma or for the Kama or otherwise Artha or otherwise Moksha. Not for those. So from this statement we understood, yes. So Sakshat Bhakti is the essence of all the scriptures. Tathacha. So we have to continue from here in this Anuscheda. Tathacha. Sri Gopala Tapani Shrutihi. What it is saying? Gopala Tapani Shruti. Bhaktirasya bhajanam tad iha amutropadi nairasyena amushmin manah kalpanam etad cha naishkarmyam iti. So in Gopala Tapani Upanishad, it is said that so sorry, where is that file? One second, just 1 second. Bhakti asya bhajanam. That means worshipping. Bhakti means worshipping the Lord. Tad iha amutropadi nairasyena amushmin manah kalpanam. So that means iha amutra means in this earth planet. Amutra means in Swarga. So upadi nairasyena. That means upadi nairasya means not having any kind of desires to get pleasure in material world, that means in the earth planet or otherwise in the higher planets. Amushmin manah kalpanam, that means fixing mind in the Lord, is known as naishkarmyam. This is known as naishkarmyam, and that is known as bhakti. So why it is said naishkarmyam? Bhakti is naishkarmyam because there is no karma. Because karma means is done for the pleasure of either in this material planet or otherwise in the earth planet or otherwise in the higher planets. To get the pleasure in this planet or otherwise to get the pleasure in this Swarga, so one does so karma. But something is done not for these two is known as is a bhakti. So next atra navalakshana iti samuchaya na avashyakaha. So ekeneva angena sadhya vyabhichara shravanat sadhya avyabhichara shravanat kvachid anya anga mishranam tu tathapi bhinna shraddha ruchitvat. Now, okay, so what Prahlad Maharaj is saying, anyone reached the pinnacle of his studies, what he has to do? He has to do sakshat bhakti. Adda means sakshat. So Shravanam Kirtan he should do. He should not attracted by the karma. So if he is attracted by the karma means he didn't study properly all the scriptures. So still he is having any material desires. So I will do this work and get the result of this work and I will enjoy. This kind of attitude is there. Then what? He is attracted by these worldly things. And then actually he didn't understand the conclusion of this Shastra. And one who understood the conclusion of the Shastra, even he is not interested in going to the liberation. That means getting the Brahman. So the real educated person should take up the direct devotional service. So Shravanam Kirtanam, like this Navadha Bhakti, they should, especially there are the many limbs are there. So there are many limbs of the Sadhana Bhakti. So prominently, this Navadha Bhakti is the prominent one. So this is only the conclusion. Nothing else. Whatever attraction we get in our life for other things, that is just its illusion. And we may not convince because we don't have such a strong Shraddha, because we didn't understand the conclusion of the Shastras. Then we may do Karma Mishra Bhakti. But the highest understanding of scriptures is directly devotional service, direct Sakshat Bhakti. Sakshat Bhakti should be done. Without, if we have Karma Mishra Bhakti means still you have some kind of, that means less faith in the Bhakti. You are mixing the karma along with the Bhakti means that Shraddha is not so strong actually in Bhakti. So that's why such a people as recommended to do karma mishra bhakti. Yeah. And even who doesn't have any shraddha in bhakti, then they should do at least karma. And whoever is not doing karma, then he is really a sinful person. So that is not at all recommended by our scriptures. So at least everyone should do karma, and better to him is doing the karma mishra bhakti, and best thing is doing the sakshat bhakti. So this is the highest thing. And yeah, this sakshat bhakti is navadha bhakti. Like example, Parikshit Maharaj, he left everything and fully focused in Shravanam. So Sukadeva Goswami, he left everything and he did Kirtanam. So like this, we have examples also we have seen. So Parikshit Maharaj is an example for Shravanam. So Sukadeva Goswami is example for Kirtanam. So then these Navadha Bhakti should be done only any one or many. All the limbs one should follow or any one. So here Navalakshana Bhakti na avashyak samuchayah na avashyakah. Navalakshana iti. That means any one is enough, because the word Navalakshana is said. So that means any one anga if you follow is enough. Ekeneva angena sadhya avyabhichara shravanat. So this no need of all the limbs to be followed. Even if you follow one limb, so that is sufficient. Because even one limb can, that means you may do Shravanam, you may do Kirtanam, you may do Vishnu Smaranam or Padasevanam, anything. Any one limb is also enough. Kvachit anyanga mishranam tu tatapi binna shraddha ruchitvat. Sometimes we see some people, they do 2-3 limbs together. So like Shravanam Kirtanam together. Some people, they may do Shravanam Archanam. So like that. That is also good. Why they are doing like that? So 2 more are mixing. That means so different angas. Because Binna Shraddha Ruchitvat. Because of variegated faith and Ruchi. So it means people may have different Ruchi. And because of that, and also people may have so Shraddha. Bishop or Shraddha also. Variegated Shraddha. Some might be having more Shraddha in Kirtanam. Some people might be having more Shraddha in Shravanam. So, and some people might be having the more Shraddha in Padasevanam. Like this. Based upon their Shraddha, so those will be following. But any one limb is enough to get the success. Tatah Navalakshana Shabdena Bhakti Samanyuktya Tanmatranushtanam Vidiyate iti Gneyam. Here in this Navalakshana word is there in this sloka. You are seeing Iti Pumsarpita Vishnu Bhaktischet Navalakshana. What is the significance of this Navalakshana? That is said here. So, Tata Navalakshana Sabdena, by the word Navalakshana, Bhakti Samanyuktya Tanmatra Anushtanam Vidiyate iti. Navalakshana Bhakti. So, if you see in the sloka how it is said, Navalakshana Bhakti is said. So, Bhakti, that means in general way it is mentioned. So, Navalakshana Bhakti. And then we should understand from this and Bhakti one should do the bhakti, and which is having these 9 limbs. So you should understand, bhakti generally said, bhakti one should do. That means the whoever is reaching to the pinnacle of his studies, he should do bhakti. And a Navalakshana is said. Bhakti is saying, bhakti means in general it is said. And Navalakshana is said. Simply bhakti is said, then what will happen? Then Aropa Siddha Bhakti, Sangha Siddha Bhakti, everything will come. But when bhakti is said and also Navalakshana is said, bhakti means it's a big circle. When you said Navalakshana, then it is only Swarupa Siddha Bhakti. You're understanding? In this sloka, if Prahlad Maharaj said, says, of the person who reached the pinnacle of study, he should do bhakti. This much if he said. Then what will happen? Then in that case, even Sakama Karma Mishra Bhakta also is known as Bhakta only. Because in the Bhagavad Gita also we have read. So that's why bhakti simply didn't say. Navalakshana is said. Then from this you should understand that. So Sakshat Bhakti. So maybe here he mentioned only Navalakshana means only 9, but it can be more also. Like if you see in Hari Bhakti Vilasa, or otherwise in the Bhakti Rasam Sindhu. Bhakti Rasam Sindhu we are seeing is Bhakti. 64 limbs we have seen. And also Rupa Goswami is saying there, my elder brother wrote Hari Bhakti Vilasa. There he mentioned even thousands of the limbs of the Bhakti. So which are directly devotional service. So that's why Prahlad Maharaj said Navalakshana means you should not take only simply Navalakshana. It means all other limbs also you should take. All other limbs of Sakshat Bhakti. Okay. This is the understanding one should get. It's clear? Is it clear? So next, we are going to see online. Okay, who are there? Four, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Where is Sarveshwar Samsundar, Prabhu? He's in trance. Chaitanya Jivan, Prabhu. Where is your friend?
No, bro. I don't know, bro. Where is?
Why? Why you don't know? And next, Gokulanand Prabhu. I think Nam Sankirtan Prabhu has to comment on this. What happened to him?
He is performing Navayuddha Bhakti somewhere else.
Yes. And who else? Akinjani Krishna Prabhu. He is also performing somewhere else. Akinjani Krishna Prabhu. Ananta Krishna Prabhu, what you know about Akinjani Krishna Prabhu?
No, bro. The question.
You have question.
Ekena eva angena.
Wait. I'm just checking who are coming and who are not. So what about your friend?
Yadapati, bro.
Yadapati Prabhu, yes.
He have got some services, bro. Like little timing problem is there.
That's a timing problem. Good. And who else are there? So I don't know. Okay. What is your question, please?
Here, project Ekena eva angena. After that, sadhya vyabhichar sravanat. This term, can you explain, project?
Ekena angena. Okay, I will explain that. Ekenaiva angena, that means by one limb. Sadhya avyabhichara shravanat. That means sadhya means what? Prema. Prema bhakti. Avyabhichara shravanat. That means we heard that even one limb is mapped to the result. Avyabhicharata means what? So every limb is followed by, so is definitely gives the result of sadhya. Every limb. Even one limb is. So avyabhicharata means what? What do you understood avyabhicharata? Previously I discussed. So smoke and fire. Who is avyabhichari?
If fire is there, then smoke will be there. So
yeah, sadhya will be the always avyabhichari. And cause, that means effect always follows the cause. So here who is the sadhya?
Sadhya is prem.
So that's why. So who is avyabhichari here?
Any one of the limbs. Oh no. Sadhya, prema is avyabhichari.
Prema is avyabhichari. Sadhya is avyabhichari. So because we heard that every time sadhya so is following the every limb. Then who, like smoke is following whom? Fire. So fire is not following smoke. Who is following whom? Smoke is following fire. Because smoke is effect and fire is the cause. Effect always follows cause. Wherever there is effect, there is definitely cause. But wherever cause, there is an effect. Can you say like this? You cannot say. So that's why it's not necessary that the Shravanam should be the avyabhichari with the prema. But prema is definitely avyabhichari with the prema should be that sadhya effect. Effect always should be avyabhichari with the
cause.
Avyabhichari with the cause, that is anga. So that's a sadhya avyabhichara. Sadhya is avyabhichara.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah. That means simply that means where different limbs are there, and every limb, if anyone practice any limb, so definitely that is leading to the prema. So that means prema is avyabhichari with respect to limb. So that's why ekenaiva angena sadhya avyabhichara shravanat. Okay, is any question? Any question in this?
Yeah, Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Sajitevya.
Yes, Prabhu.
Prabhuji, you said about Vyabhichari and Avyabhichari, and
Yes.
then you explained about this Sadhya effect cause. But what we have, I've also studied that effect and cause is not linear. Like effect leads to cause and then cause does not lead to effect. We have always learned that effect and cause is always in a loop. Like it's not linear, it's not a straight line that effect leads to cause always. Linear means that we have an effect cause and then there is an arch above and then there's an arch below and that way. So then how will it will be Avyabhichari and that way? I mean, it's complicated for me. Hare Krishna.
Okay, Prabhu. So it's like this, Prabhu. So a linear or loop. A loop means if one is following another one. So then it is loop actually. But here we are not going to get any loop. Because example,
it's an unending loop. It's in an unending loop.
When we get an unending loop, so cause is producing effect, effect is producing the cause.
Yeah, that way. Yeah.
But this is not the case. So
Okay.
here what we have to check. Now you have limb, that means Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam. And if anyone performs Shravanam strictly and seriously, whether he is getting the result or not. What is the result? Result is prema. So every time, that means cause is what? Shravanam, and effect is what? Prema. That means wherever there is a cause, that means whenever anyone does Shravanam, if he is getting the sadhya, that means prema, then who is avyabhichari? Prema is the avyabhichari. Because it is always following cause. That is Shravanam, or otherwise Kirtanam, or otherwise Smaranam. So that's why sadhya is the avyabhichari. Like example, there is a fire. Wherever there is a fire, there is smoke. So, or otherwise, that means if you find smoke, definitely there is, fire will be there. So, because effect, so effect is following the cause. And you cannot say, that means fire always follows smoke. It's not necessary. If fire is there and smoke may not be there also. But if smoke is there, definitely there is a fire. So that's why smoke is avyabhichari with respect to fire.
Yes, Prabhuji. Clear now, Prabhuji. Thank you. You gave us that example of fire and no smoke. Example you gave was a long time back about that kitchen stove and all that gas cylinder.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah.
Krishna Bhai.
Yeah.
Yeah. Two questions now with respect to that Ata Navalakshana iti samuchaya.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that it's only these 9 types of limbs which are there, and if one performs one of the limbs, then achieve perfection. But you were mentioning about if one is inclined to karma mishra bhakti also. So, but the verse is speaking about it, or it is only speaking about only one limb of bhakti and having taste for other limbs to perform?
No, karma mishra bhakti, what I said, Prabhu. So karma mishra bhakti you should not take here. I said, if simply in the sloka Prahlad Maharaj says bhakti, and if he never mentioned Navalakshana, then what will happen? So if you say bhakti, saying bhakti is in general way, then according to this word bhakti itself, let us take in this sloka only bhakti word is there, and Navalakshana word is not there. Then what will happen? Then who will be the who will reach what the person is doing who is reaching the pinnacle of studies? He'll be doing bhakti. So then it can be the aropa siddha bhakti. That means doing karma and offering the results of that results to the Lord. Then that is also known as aropa siddha bhakti. Or otherwise karma mishra bhakti. That means doing the karma or the gnana mishra bhakti. They are also known as devotees. That is also bhakti. So all these things will come if Prahlad Maharaj mentions only word bhakti, and if he doesn't mention Navalakshana. Understanding, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhuji.
When the word Navalakshana is mentioned, then Aropa Siddha Bhakti and Sangha Siddha, that means Karma Mishra Bhakti, all are eliminated. And only Sarupa Siddha Bhakti, or otherwise Sakshat Bhakti is taken. Because the Navalakshana word is mentioning Sakshat Bhakti. You understood, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah. And Navalakshana means, shall we take only the ninefold process? No. Not only 9. This Navalakshana is indicating even all the other direct devotional activities also we should take here. And if anyone performs any one of those They are all getting the perfection. They are all considered as the person who reached the pinnacle of his studies.
Prabhu, but still someone can perform one of the 9 limbs with motivation for personal gain. So that would still be Karma Mishra Bhakti, isn't it?
No, that is not Karma Mishra Bhakti. That is Sattvika Bhakti or Rajasika or Tamasika Bhakti. Karma Mishra Bhakti is different. So here the word Bhagavati is already the word Bhagavati is removing that case also. That means doing for the Lord only. Bhagavati kriyate. That means it is done for only Lord. So that means dharma, artha, kama, moksha. That means for material gain or for the liberation or otherwise for the destroying someone. So all these are all eliminated by the word Bhagavati. Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
That means the person who is doing the Swarupa Siddha Bhakti or Sakshat Bhakti for the pleasure of the Lord, he is the person who reached to the pinnacle of his studies. That is the understanding. Next Anushcheda. If it is clear for everyone, so we can move to the next Anushcheda. So 170 Anushcheda. Ata asyaha akinchanakyaya. Okay, I will show my screen. So here, atha asyaha akinchanakyaha bhaktehe sarvopari bhumika avasthitim adhikari vishesha nishtatvam cha darshayitum prakriyantaram tatra paratattvasya vaimukya pariharaya yatha katam chit samukya matram kartavyattvena labhyate. So what it means? Ata asyaha akinchanakyaha bhaktehe sarvopari bhumika vastitim. Now we are going to approach another method. Okay. We have discussed various merits of the bhakti, and based upon those merits, so we established Ananya Bhakti or otherwise Sakshat Bhakti is the topmost. Yes, we showed the several reasons to say Suddha Bhakti is highest. Why? So any sadhana, if you perform, that result ultimately should lead to the getting the ruchi for doing Sakshat Bhakti. So that's why all the sadhanas, purpose of all the sadhanas is meant for so Sakshat Bhakti. Also, all the sadhanas are dependent on Bhakti, and Bhakti is independent of all these sadhanas. It itself can produce the result of other sadhanas also. Like that, many reasons we have seen. We have seen many reasons to say Shuddha Bhakti is topmost. One should do the exclusive Bhakti. So now we are going to find another approach to establish Akinchana Bhakti or otherwise Shuddha Bhakti is the topmost. And also establish who is eligible for this. this Suddha Bhakti. That also we are going to discuss through this new method. Prakriyantaram means new method. So why we are taking this new method? To establish Akinchana Bhakti as topmost, and also, so who is eligible for this Akinchana Bhakti? So for establishing these two, we are going to approach a new method. Okay, this is clear. Sarvopari bhumikavastitim adhikari nishtitvam cha. These two. Darshayitum, to show prakriyantaram. That means another method. We are going to have another method. Tatra paratatvasya vaimukya pariharaya yatakatanchit samukya matram kartavyattvena lapyate. So definitely, any prakriya we are going to take, what it is going to do? That prakriya has to, what is the purpose of that prakriya? That prakriya should have one basic quality. What is that? It is meant for establishing, whatever that prakriya establishes, that one has to, what it do? It should remove the vaimukyam, and it should achieve the samukyam. What is this vaimukyam? What is this samukyam? Why these words? You may get disturbed. Vaimukyam means what? Jivatma, from, that means every Jivatma, from the time immemorial, other from anadikala, from beginningless. From beginningless, Jivatma is not having the paratattva jnanam. And that kind of Jivatma is having the vaimukyam. That is known as, that state, not having the paratattva jnanam, is known as vaimukyam. Okay. If Jivatma, somehow or other Jivatma get connect to the absolute truth and gets the knowledge about the absolute truth, then that is known as samukyam. That means Jivatma, if it knows Paratattvam as Brahman, if it knows Paratattvam as Paramatma, if it knows Paratattvam as Bhagavan, so then it is known as samukyam. Okay. Samukyam, vaimukyam, understood? So that means whatever prakriya method we use, that method should be, whatever method we use, so that method ultimately should establish some process. Method should establish some process which is meant for what? To destroy the vaimukyam and to establish the samukyam. Getting or not? So here prakriya means some kind of approach. So we are going to have a new approach or new method. For what purpose? The main purpose is to establish bhakti is the highest. And Akinchana Bhakti is highest. And also who is Adhikari. So there what should happen? That prakriya, that method should conclude into such a process. That's Akinchana Bhakti, whatever you take here. So should have these two merits. That means it should establish, that prakriya should establish, that method should establish such a process which destroys the vaimukyam and which establishes samukyam. Okay. So tacha tridha. Tachatrita means what? Ultimately, what it doing, that prakriya is doing is doing or is establishing the processes. So what process? The process which destroy the Vaimukyam and which establishes Samukyam. Okay. So Tachatrida Nirvishesha Rupasya Tadiya Brahmakyāvirbhāvasya Gnana Rupam. And next, Savisesha Rupasya Cha Tadiya Bhagavadatyākyavirbhāvasya Bhakti Rupam iti Dvayam Trutiyam Cha Tasya Dvayasyaiva Dvaram Karmarpana Rupam iti. So ultimately, our whole endeavor is meant for what? In Bhakti Sandarbha, what we are doing? What we are doing? We are trying to find such a process which destroys the Vaimukyam and which establishes Samukyam. From time immemorial, beginningless, Jivatma is not having from the beginningless, it is not having the knowledge about the Paratattva. Now we should find such a method. So that Jivatma should gain knowledge about the Paratattva. So then what will happen? Vaimukyam is out and Samukyam means started gaining the knowledge about the Paratattva. Paratattva means absolute truth. Paratattvam is perceived grossly, if you say, in two ways. Savishesha and Nirvishesha. In Bhagavatam, first canto, second chapter, Sutta Goswami says, so vadanti tattvavidas tattvam as gnanam advayam brahmeti paramatmeti bhagavanti shabdite. He says their tattvam has three types. Tattvam means absolute truth. Absolute truth or paratattvam means absolute truth. It is realized in three ways: Brahma, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. But if you see, actually it is two types: Nirvishesha, Savishesha. You take like this. Paramatma and Bhagavan are Savishesha, and Brahman is Nirvishesha. So that's why Paratattvam is realized in broader sense. If you say in a broader sense, it is two types: Nirvishesha form and Savishesha. That means Nirvishesha means without attributes. Savishesha means with attributes. So that's why Paramatma and Bhagavan I am keeping as Savishesha. Is there any problem for you? No. So now, people in general, so they are. If anyone tries to know absolute truth in the form of Nirvishesha Brahman. So in his case, Samukyam is there or not? Huh? If anyone tries to know absolute truth in the form of Brahman, Samukyam is there or not? Is there? Tell me.
Samukyam is there.
Is there? No? Yes or no? Yes?
Yes.
No.
It will not be there, Prabhuji, because there is no form involved in this.
No. Samukyam is there.
Okay.
Form is not necessary. Jivatma's struggle is what? Why Jivatma is struggling? Jivatma is struggling because it is not having the knowledge about the Paratattva. If someone is trying to have knowledge about Paratattva in the form of Brahman, so that is also known as Samukyam only. That is also Samukyam. That means that Jiva also is turned now towards the absolute truth. Maybe that Jiva is seeing the absolute truth in the form of Brahman, Nirguna, Nirvishesha form. And then in that case, that Samukyam is in the form of what? Is in the form of Gnana, Gnana Rupam. Yes or no? If anyone tries to know, that means if anyone tries to get the absolute truth in the form of Nirvishesha Brahman, so then that Samukyam means the process. So the process to achieve the absolute truth. So then what is that process? What process then that person will take up? That process is Gnana Marga. Yes or no? Feeling difficulty. Tapu mai? Is your understanding? Huh?
Hare Krishna, bro. Yes, bro.
Yes, bro. Okay.
Prabhuji, can I say something?
Yes, Prabhu.
Prabhuji, even in material world, if we have, suppose there's a boy and girl and the boy is attracted to the girl, first he will take the knowledge about the girl. He will learn about that girl. So that means he's already sanmukyam towards that girl. So that way also we can say in material world. Because without having knowledge about the girl, how will he approach the girl?
So here a slight difference is there. That example is even that's a crude example. That's very not subtle, but here simple thing. So absolute truth is there. It can be realized in two ways: Nirvishesha form and Savishesha form. Nirvishesha and Savishesha. And now the process, whatever you follow to realize those. So then one is Gnana Marga and another is Bhakti Marga. Savishesha form you will realize through the Bhakti, and Nirvishesha form you will realize through the Gnana. Yes or no? Nirvishesha form, how you will realize? Through the Gnana Marga. So that's why Samukyam is what? In the form of knowledge, Gnana. And when you try to realize the Savishesha form, then you will be using what? Bhakti. So that's why Bhakti is the Samukyam. Samukyam is the process. What process we use to connect back with the absolute truth. So in the case of Jnanis, they are using the Gnana to connect back with the absolute truth. And in the case of the Savishesha form, if anyone wants to realize absolute truth in the form of Bhagavan, then what he has to practice? He has to practice Bhakti. So this is the point actually. So that's why in this whole world, so to to connect back with the absolute truth, how many processes are there? How many? 2. If you don't connect back with the absolute truth, then what will happen? You will be in this material world and getting the pain. Bhayam ditiya biniveshitasya ishadapetasya. You will be getting fear. All the time you will be getting fear. But when you connect to the absolute truth yourself, Jivatma is now connectionless. Is now independently is roaming in this material world. And when this Jivatma is not connected to the Lord, then what will happen? So then Maya will take charge on that Jivatma. And it will so hide the Swarupa Gnanam of the Jivatma. That means Jivatma will not identify himself as so Atma. That means I am soul. Then this Maya is going to give the Viparita Gnanam. That means Jivatma start identifying itself as what? As the body. And then Jivatma is entering into the dualities, good, bad, loss, gain, and keep on getting the fear. So I may get lost in this business. I may lose my body. I may lose myself. That means I may kill. That means actually body is destroyed, but he'll think that I may be killed. So like this, he keep on getting the fear. So now this Jivatma, if it wants to come out from this fear, what he has to do? So when Jivatma is coming out from this clutches of Maya, whom it catches? Those Jivatmas who are not connected to the absolute truth. So now if this Jivatma start connecting to absolute truth, then what will happen? Then Maya will leave. Okay, this guy is trying to connect with the absolute truth. Then it will not act on him. So now what are the 2 ways? What are the ways to connect it back? There are 2 ways. Broadly. There are 2 ways. That means you can see Paratattvam as Paratattva means absolute truth as Brahman or otherwise Bhagavan. We are not taking Paramatma because he is also Savishesha. So that's why if anyone wants to connect to absolute truth, he has 2 paths, either Gnana Marga or otherwise Bhakti. Okay? So that way, connecting to the absolute truth is known as Samukhyam, and not connecting with the absolute truth is known as Vaimukhyam. So now, 2 processes we are seeing in front of our eyes. There are now 2 processes. So that means in this whole world, so we found 2 processes. That means Gnana Marga and Bhakti Marga. In the Gnana Marga, what they do? They will be trying to cultivate themselves. So Jnanis, what they do? Tvam Padartha Gnanam, Tat Padartha Gnanam, Aikya Gnanam. They will try to cultivate this knowledge, knowing about the soul, knowing about the Brahman, and Aikya means oneness between these 2. So they try to practice this knowledge. What? I am soul, and absolute truth is Brahman, which is not having any qualities. And there is no difference between myself and Brahman. This is the practice. This is the practice means they have to stand on this. Their consciousness has to be fixed on this. Reject everything and come and fix oneself in this. Anyway, this process, I'm not explaining in detail. This is the one path. Another path is what? Bhakti. Doing bhakti. Bhakti means service, seva. Service to that absolute truth. To do service, then yes, there is a form. And we are this person is doing service. This is another path. So that in these two paths, one is, that means person, in these two paths, anyone can connect to the absolute truth through any of these two. So what is one more thing? One more thing is karma arpanam. So bhakti rupam iti dvayam. Tadi bhagavadadhyakhyavirbhavasya bhakti rupam iti dvayam. Trutiyam cha tasya dvayasyeva dvaram karmarpana rupam. And there is one more process. What is that one more process? That one more process is the entry door for these two. The entry door for these two is what? What is the entry door? How one is coming to the Gnana Marga? How one comes to the Gnana Marga? Bhagavad Gita, what did you say?
This Kam Karma Yoga.
Who is that? One Mataji and one Pitaji is. See? So that is Karma Arpanam, Nishkama Karma Yoga. How one can enter into the Gnana Marga? By offering the karma. By offering the karma with the renunciation, with the mood of renunciation. I don't want any attachment with these results of this karma. I don't want to get any bondage. With that mood, one offers the results of karma. So then, Antakarana, heart is purified, clean, and then he'll understand himself as soul. Then after that, he will be getting the Tat Padartha Gnanam, that means Brahman. Then after that, some practice he will be doing, and so realizing himself non-different from that Brahman. Okay, so that's why karma arpanam, doing karma and offering that result of that karma is the entry door for jnana. Yes. And what is the entry door for the bhakti? If
Jnana.
Entry door for the bhakti is jnana.
Yeah, you said in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu in the beginning.
No.
You said you use little bit of jnana and austerity. That's the entry door for bhakti.
No, that is not entry door actually. May useful actually. Jnana may useful little bit in the process of bhakti. May, but not mandatory. So that's like jnana cannot be entered.
Doing activities to please the Lord?
Yes, doing activities to please the Lord. Karma arpanam.
Oh.
So how that means actually, see, if you all remember, actually we read Shraddha is the entry door for the bhakti. But if one doesn't develop that Shraddha, what he has to do? Sufficient Shraddha. Then he has to do karma and offer the results of that karma to the Lord, to please the Lord. So then what will happen? That's why we saw Kanishta Adhikari. Who is Kanishta Adhikari? Who doesn't have proper faith in the Lord. So for him, what is recommended? Definitely he has to do some kind of direct devotional service, and also he has to do his karma for the pleasing the Lord. Because he doesn't have full Shraddha. So that's why he cannot do so directly devotional service, Sakshat Bhakti. Then what he has to do? He has to do some karma also. Otherwise, his life will be irregulated. So that's why he has to do definitely so karma and offer the results. That's why Sukadeva Goswami, what he's saying, Savai pumsam paro dharmo yato bhakti radokshaje ahaitukya pratihata eyatma suprasidati. What Sukadeva Goswami is saying, one has to do dharma. Dharma means karma. So for the sake of Savai pumsam paro dharma yatah bhakti. That means one should do that kind of dharma which produces the bhakti. Bhakti means what? Taste in Krishna Katha. So here in this sloka, bhakti means what? Taste in Krishna Katha. How the taste in Krishna Katha is coming? By doing the dharma for pleasing the Lord. That's why atah pumbir dujishreshta varnashrama vibhagashaha swanishchitasya dharmasya samsiddhir haritoshanam. So that's why one has to be situated in the varnashrama and do his dharma, that means varnashrama dharma, for haritoshanam. So for pleasing the Hari, then what will happen? He will develop taste in the Krishna Katha. So then what will happen? Then he can become eligible to practice Sakshat Bhakti. He will develop Shraddha. He will develop taste. So that's why in this way you can say karma, doing the dharma for the satisfaction of the Lord is a kind of entry door for bhakti. So now how many are there? Gnana Marga and Bhakti Marga. Both are directly connecting this person, Jivatma, person in Jivatma to Paratattvam. But for these two, what is the entry door? Karmarpanam, offering the karma. Okay. Any question?
Krishna Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhuji. Just now what you mentioned that for bhakti also karmarpanam is, like an entry door. But in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, if somebody has Shraddha, he takes up to Vaidhi Bhakti, and in that there are categories of Kanishta, Uttama and Madhyama.
Yes.
And Rupa Goswami says that Varnashrama are not the limbs of Bhakti.
Yes.
And Gyan and Vairagya are not the limbs of Bhakti.
Yes.
And he quotes that why does then, in the Vishnu Puran, Parashar Muni says that, Varnashrama Achareta. And in the purport it says, this is for those who have not yet developed Shraddha and Bhakti, but they have faith in karma.
Yes.
But Maharaj Bharat only took the names of the Lord. So how do we understand this then?
Yeah. So Shraddha, if you get, then you are eligible to do bhakti, pure devotional service, sadhana bhakti. Yes. Shraddha is the qualification to do the Vaidhi sadhana bhakti. So, but how to get the Shraddha? That is the entry door. So that means who doesn't develop sufficient Shraddha? So that means who doesn't develop proper taste in Krishna Katha? Then what you will recommend for him? So who doesn't develop Shraddha properly? Maybe he has some kind of Loka Parampara Jata Shraddha. But so to develop taste, so then what he has to do? Since he doesn't have proper Shraddha, he cannot Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Okay.
Hare Krishna
So
Prabhuji,
what we are
question is
discussing?
there. Can I ask question?
No. Let me finish the explanation. What I was saying, so Prabhuji was asking question. So Shraddha is the qualification, but how that if Shraddha is there, then fine. Definitely he can enter, he can do the bhakti, that means pure devotional service. He can leave the karma and then he can do bhakti. But if that Shraddha is not there, then what he has to do? How? Either he has to associate the sadhus and read the shastras and get the shastra the vishwasa. That means understand the shastra shravanam and mananam. He has to do, and then by that what will happen? Then by that, so shravanam and mananam, what will happen? So by these two, so asambhavana viparita bhavanas are finished and you will be understanding. So the conclusions of the shastra, that is nothing but the Krishna. So then that is known as Shraddha actually. Shastrartha Vishwasa. Or otherwise, what one has to do? So at that time, what he has to do? Yes, he is developing the Shraddha and he didn't have sufficient Shraddha. Then can he does just only the sitting and Shastra and he has to do something? Then he has to do something. He has to follow karma and he has to offer that karma, results of that karma for the sake of the Lord, so that what will happen, his life is regulated and he will be developing the taste for the Krishna Katha. Savai pumsam paro dharmo yato bhakti radokshaje. So that's why in this way, so that means who doesn't develop proper Shraddha has to do karma and offer that to the Lord, so that taste will increase. So now, so in this way, can you see, that means for the bhakti also, so karma arpanam is the entry in this way. Yes or no?
Yes, Puji. In today's context, if you see, like somebody like myself also, I have not done any, varnashram practices or any practices, any karma. It's only sinful life. And coming in the association of devotees, we took up to devotion. So how do you relate that with your explanation?
So if someone get the association and develop this Shraddha, that means when you get association, what will be doing? You'll be hearing from him about the Krishna, Shravanam. Then after that, Mananam, that means you are deliberating on that. So that why Krishna only has to be, whatever you heard, initially you might be having the rejection for that. So that means you may not able to accept that. Then after that, a deliberation you did. So then keep on hearing and understanding, then what will happen? So rejecting Krishna as Supreme Personality of Godhead will be over, and accepting someone as Supreme Personality of God also is finished, other than Krishna. Then finally you will come to the conclusion of Krishna is only the absolute truth, is only the final. Then what will you will be doing? You will be leaving everything. All of that means regular duties. Being a son, you might be helping your parents. How can you say you are not doing any duties? Now, being a student, you might be following your teacher, so-called teacher, or whatever social responsibilities you might be doing. Then you left everything. My dear father, mother, I don't want to. So, or follow any kind of responsibilities. That means putra dharma, whatever dharma is over. Then we are entering into the directly bhakti. So this is happening. Before that, what you are doing in this transition period. So that means bhakti is fully accepting. Like example, if you take our Rupa Goswami, and Sanatana Goswami. So they were working, and then after that, they left that, and they fully dedicated themselves for the service of the Lord. There is no Varna and Ashram. Finish. They became Babaji and are fully dedicated to the direct devotional service of the Lord. Okay. So here, what is the point? Shraddha is a primary qualification, but before that, what you are doing, how you will regulate the society, how you will conduct the society. So after getting Shraddha, there is no need to do any karma. If you develop properly Shraddha, then Shraddha means what? Symptom of Shraddha is Sharanapati, surrendering to the Lord. Surrendering to the Lord, Sharanapati. So that is whatever is favorable to the devotion, that only is doing, and rejecting everything. And no Varna and Ashrama. So even if he is in the Varna Ashrama, but he will be definitely is understanding that only to set example to the society I am doing, but he is not conditioned by those. He is just to set Edidatar is Shrestha, just to set an example to the society might be doing, but his consciousness is always fixed in the Krishna. So what is the point I want to say? So that's why Suta Goswami is saying, Savai pumsam paro dharmo yato bhakti radokshaje. Ahaitukya prithatha yatma suprasiddhi. There you can see the Jiva Goswami's commentary. And also, Atah pumbir didishreshta varnashrama vibhagshaha swanishtitasya dharmasya samsiddhir haritoshanam. Do your dharma and offer that to the Lord. Then what will happen? Your Krishna Katha, taste for the Krishna Katha will increase. Then when sufficiently it is increased, then you can leave that karma. Taste increased means what? You got the good Shraddha. So that's why karma arpanam is the entry door in this way. Otherwise, if you karma arpanam, if you don't give and also is not having the Shraddha, then where he will go? What he will do? What will happen to him then? How you will accommodate him in this society? So do you think actually everyone is doing the direct devotional service all the time? No. So they are gradually developing the Shraddha and preparing themselves to fully surrender to the Krishna and leave that karma. Even in the Jnana Marga also, who will leave karma sannyasa yoga? In the Bhagavad Gita, you will be seeing karma sannyasa. Who can renounce the karma? Who develop the sthita pragnata, that means who becomes stable, whose consciousness becomes stable. That means I'm soul, I'm not the body. In this knowledge, whoever is fixed, dukkeshu anudigna sukeshu vigatasvaha vitaraga bhayakroda sthitadhir munirichyate. Such a person only can leave karma. Otherwise, he also has to practice karma. So that's why before launching fully into this process, jnana or bhakti, one has to do the karma. Otherwise, there is no regulation for his life. Collapse, whole society is in the collapsive condition. If we do the sinful activities, then what will happen? Our consciousness will be always contaminated and one cannot develop easily Shraddha. So that's why karma is recommended, not the papa, sin. Okay, Prabhu? Rambhadra Priya Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhuji. But in today's world, we don't see anyone doing karma arpanam. Everyone is leading from adharma directly we are taking up to paradharma. So
adharma, actually, that's why in that Aropa Siddha Bhakti, if someone is not able to do karma, that means dharma, at least he can do adharma and offer. That is even lower stage. That is even the lower stage. At least he is connecting to the Lord. We will be discussing this very soon. It is coming. This condition also is going to come.
Okay, Guruji.
At least that is also meaningful. Na? Someone is doing adharma and enjoying his senses and using that for result for his own sense gratification. Better than that, he is better. Compared to him, he is the better one. Ramcharan too. 8 minutes are over. Okay. Last question I will take.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. So,
yeah.
So, Prabhu, I think my understanding is that when we are saying it's antidote to bhakti, also in one sense to develop faith. But my understanding is that bhakti cannot be like dependent on anything, like this karma or jnana or whatever. So only way we can get bhakti is devotee association. So whether that person is doing good karma, bad karma, or whatever karma is doing, we can recommend them while they don't have taste for bhakti, they can do other karma. But ultimately, it is basically devotee association. Until they will not interfere, they will not get bhakti, they will not get even faith, anything. So we can say entry door, but in reality, my understanding is without devotee association, they will not enter. So in that sense, if somebody is even doing sinful activity and we say no, do this karma arpanam, but still that will not develop ruchi until some devotee interferes. So isn't it that devotee association is the main entry door than this karma arpanam?
See, karma arpanam, that means doing the offering karma for the pleasing of the Hari. It means he's already got the association. How he comes to know? That means I should work hard and I should please the Lord by this. That means it is already understandable that he got the association. Without devotees association, even he cannot come to know that also. And he is so associating devotee and developing his Shraddha. I am just explaining in that phase, that means in the phase of developing Shraddha. So what is needed thing, he has to associate devotee definitely. From that devotee, he has to hear about the Krishna, he has to hear about the Shastra, and he should develop the conclusions of understand properly the conclusions of the Shastra. When he understands conclusions of the Shastra, then he has to live sinful life. Who will do the sinful life? Who doesn't understand the Shastra properly, then he will do the sinful life. Swabhaviki Shraddha. That means Shraddha is two types. Apiche Suduracharo, we are saying, Bhajate Mam Ananya Bhak. Someone is doing the exclusive devotion and what? So he is doing the sinful life. So whose case that is? That is the case of, so who didn't hear the properly Shastras and didn't develop the Swabhaviki Shraddha. That person only will do that. Ananya Bhakti also he will be doing and following the sinful life. But he is also sadhu. Sadhureva samantavya. We also, Krishna is saying, you should consider him also sadhu only. He is also devotee, he is also sadhu, yes. But what Krishna is saying, so that person also has to develop proper Shraddha. Now he is having the Loka Parampara Jata Shraddha. Somehow or other he is having some faith. But that faith should be turning into the Shastra, the Vishwasaha. That means properly he should associate devotees and understand the conclusions of the Shastras in right manner. And then what he has to do? So he has to get the faith on the conclusions of the Shastra. Then what will happen? By that time, what he will be doing? He will be doing the karma only. Because he is hearing the Shastras. And Shastra is saying that to follow the regulated life, not the sinful life. He is hearing the Shastras and not developing the proper conduct of the life, proper way of the lifestyle, then what it means? He's not understanding Shastra properly. Because if anyone understands Shastra properly, why he will lead the sinful life? That's why Prabhupada, what he did, after giving association to American boys and girls, so he started, that means because of his association, they heard the Krishna's Katha, they heard about the various conclusions of the Shastra from Bhagavad Gita, and they got faith. So they started, that means they started developing the faith. You cannot say that the complete faith happened. Then everyone should be in the movement itself. So they got the faith, then some faith they develop. So then Prabhupada said, leave the sinful life and stay in a farm community. West Virginia project he started in 1965-66. And he started, that means all the grihasthas. In cities, people sit and preach. Whoever the preaching, directly doing the devotional service, preaching activity, they should sit in the cities. But whoever is now, that means getting in contact and not able to become preachers, so then they should go back to learn that means some occupations through Varnashrama college and go back to the proper conduct of the life. That means form communities and stay there, follow your respective. So based upon your abilities, based upon your guna and karma, so accept some service and keep on doing and keep on hearing the Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam morning and evening. And then you come to the stage of, so developing full Shraddha, then what? You will be leaving those occupations also. And otherwise, if you do also, you will not be attached to those. And then go back to the Godhead. Try to understand the full picture of the Srila Prabhupada. How he flowed, how he took the steps, how he followed the Shastra. We should not twist it actually. If that is not necessary, then why? Why he promoted the farm communities? Is it just done, that means somehow or other like that? You hear the Srila Prabhupada's lectures thousands of the times he mentioned, hundreds of the times, Varnashrama college. What is the plan of temple actually? The plan of temple is starting, that means training the people in the proper occupations, in spiritual and material. So that is the main purpose of the temples actually. It's education centers. That's why he has the movement 4 phases: Sankirtan movement, temple entry movement, initiation movement, and classless society movement. He made this plan in 1949 itself. And if you don't see the complete instructions of the Srila Prabhupada, then we'll feel difficulty of seeing the Shastric injunctions in full picture. So anyway, so that means who doesn't develop full Shraddha, so then in that case, what is the symptom of Shraddha? One may ask then, what is the symptom of Shraddha? Sharanapati, surrenderance, anukulyasya sankalpaha, pratikulyasya varjana, and so on. So all these six limbs. So otherwise, society has to be regulated properly. Otherwise, what will happen? They don't have proper Shraddha, and then they will be following the sinful life, and that will never help in raising the consciousness. Of course, it may be very difficult for us to digest, but it is a fact. See the Prabhupada's movement plan, how it is going. How the plan done by the Srila Prabhupada. So, okay, next remaining, actually, we have one more class at 8:30, maybe. Today I may not able to do because my net also is going exhausted. So I'll send message for the Madhuri Kadamini students. Tomorrow I will do, tomorrow, day after tomorrow. Okay. So we'll discuss this in tomorrow's class. So yeah. Thank you very much for kind and patient hearing. Hare Krishna. Rambhadra Priya Prabhu. So you can, I think it's okay, satisfied, or tomorrow we'll discuss otherwise. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Vancha kalpatarubhyasya kripa sindhubhyasya pattanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo. Ananta koti Vaishnava bhaktivinoda ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.